Alright. Welcome to the Graffiti Jungle. Paolo Pulingue. Benvenuti nella giungla del graffiti. Questo è Impastore, Rockstar, a podcast sui Gihareh. Sono il tuo capo. Io sono Chief Gihareh Julius Caesar Cairo. Alright, let's do this. So, got a bev, you feel me? Let me find my tripod. So, my first book, I have 8. My first book, let me just get this shit up one at a time. Oh, we good, bro. We in this thing. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Graffiti Jungle. Paolo Pulingue. Benvenuti nella giungla del graffiti. Questo è Impastore, Rockstar. It's a fake rockstar chat show. A podcast with Gihareh. Cigar Talk podcast, but I ain't got no cigars or tobacco. All right. So, my first book is titled, or do you say entitled? No, bitches in the entitlement. My first book is titled Tangential Thoughts, right? That was the original name for my my podcast was always called Cigar Talk, but then my chat show was called Tangential Thoughts Chat Show. My co-host was Bailey, and Bailey passed away, so we had to put that to rest with Bailey, right? But my book, Tangential Thoughts, part of it, most of it is, if I see a quote or something that like sticks with me, or somebody says something dope to me, you know what I'm saying? This is how Cigar Talk kind of even started too. It was, I would come up here and I would just react to it. I would say it, and react to it, to my thoughts and feelings on it. And so I was thinking about this one. And the reason I thought about it was because the phrasing of it was kind of confusing a little bit. And it just made me want to like understand it, if anything. So here is the quote. Here's the quote. So the quote is, "A man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." Now, the show I'm watching is called Dark on Netflix, and this came from there. Let me see if I can pull this, which one card, so I can try to read the German one. So in German, now I have not taken any type of German classes or anything, so excuse my pronunciation on any of these words. Der Mensch kann zwar tun, was will, aber kann nicht wollen, was will. All I know is that in German, like the W pronounces kind of sort of as a V, W. Der Mensch kann zwar tun, was will, aber kann nicht wollen, was will. It sounds something, right? It sounds a little German, right? All right. So the quote is, "A man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." So the show kind of has like a couple of like repeating phrases. And so one of the phrases or ideas, concepts, ideologies that they really try to emphasize is that free will is an illusion. You're not free to do whatever you want to do, in a sense, because you are driven by your emotions and your desires. So, and they say that in a couple different ways. So for instance, Adam says you're in servitude to your emotions / desires. And so that was my either their breakdown for this, but it's also like how I would apply that to this. a man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. So to change it up a little bit, I would say a man can do whatever he desires, but he cannot change his desires. And because of that, that what you desire and what you truly want. Now they also have another one that they've repeated a couple of times. The heart, you don't really understand the heart. The heart does what it wants. It does what it wants to do. You can't. It's like there's no understanding it. The heart is just going to do what it wants to do. So to put some of those pieces together is like you have these desires and or these wants, whatever, right? Whatever you want and desire. Your actions, any action you do is going to align with that. It's going to, you're not free from that. So it doesn't, and so this is why like it doesn't matter what it is that like a person's trying to do. It's like there's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? The point of the matter is whether you do it with a knife or if you do it with a scraper or whatever, the point is just to get in the cat skinned, and that's what you really wanted to do. So it doesn't matter how you end up doing it. You can do whatever, but it's in the end goal and pursuit is to get to this point here, right? And so, but the back end part of it where it says, but he cannot will what he wills. I'm trying to see if I can, let's get to another one. A couple ways, multiple ways to skin a cat is not the one that I want to, delve into. Let's see if we can try to get another one. I'm trying to think of, okay. Okay, money, right? A person may want money, desire money, right? Now, whatever you want to do to get the money is up to you, whether it's this job, that job, or this job, right? But he cannot change what he wills. He cannot will what he wills. Like it's that desire of wanting, needing, or that of money isn't what's going to change. So that may not have been the best example, but it's stuff like that. And so, but you can generalize that to anything. And so I'm trying to get away from the cat reference, but it's just, if the end goal is, but I think that's one of the parts that also whatchamacallit, right? So if we go back to skinning a cat, I'm not sure what's another way you can skin a cat, but it doesn't matter what you do to skin the cat. You can't change the fact that you want to skin the cat. So but I think the missing part to it is, why do you want to skin the cat? That desire, right? That want. And that's what they talk about a lot in the show. It's like, you can't understand the ways of the heart. The heart wants what it wants. So that's the part of like, damn, I don't know why I want to do this, but it's just like, that's what you just want to do. That's what that means. That's what that means. You can't change your desires. Now, welcome to philosophy class. There's also to think about it in one way, in a sense as well. So, Lotto, right? Not the lottery, but Lotto, the musician, the rapper, the whatever you want to call it, right? She said, being a millionaire is boring, and one of the other things is coming into so much money at a certain period of time. And she said she's at that point where she'll buy this for this person, do this for this person, and it's not really necessarily about her. And the point that I'm trying to get to now is I think because the back part says he cannot will what he wills, like as in, since you can't change what you desire. And the part that's the next little part for that would be to say, just like the digital version of the book almost. So the next little part would say, okay, let's say your goal is to be a millionaire, right? That's like your want, your desire. Why is it always a million? Let's say your goal is to be a billionaire or a trillionaire. Let's say your goal is yo sono trillionaire. I want to be a trillionaire. I am a trillionaire, right? Let's say that's your goal. And then let's say you get to being a trillionaire. Let's say you become a trillionaire. And once you become a trillionaire, what is your desire then? Right? That's another part. Like what's your desire then? Because the way I'm interpreting it and breaking it down is you can't your desire doesn't change, right? So if your desire is to become a trillionaire, once you become a trillionaire, don't you have new desires? Or don't you have new wants? Or do you get to like, is there ever a point where you get to where you truly don't want anything? You see what I'm saying? Can you get to a point of like not wanting anything? Can you do that? Can you get to a point where you don't want anything? And reaching that point. I think that for the most part, got into like what that means. Like I think that's what it means. You can do what you desire, but anything that you do for the most part is to get to this end goal or whatever this is. I was just watching the joint the other day, and so for instance, he was like, the kid asked the mom for a cookie. The mom says no. Wait until you eat dinner, like eat your dinner first, right? And then so after dinner, the child is full. You always got room for sweets, but it's just a point. It's just a point here. And so the child doesn't end up wanting a cookie because he's full. He's 8, right? And then later, the child changes the request or demand from, okay, instead of asking for a cookie, can I get something to eat? You know, can I get some food? Can I get dinner? You know what I'm saying? So the point of it was hunger, and you can ask for this, you know what I'm saying? You go about how you satisfy your hunger, however, but it was just the need of satisfying the hunger. Once you scratch that itch, then like you're good, you know? So I think now this leads me with the, can you get to a point of not wanting anything? Because then it does still become, what are your desires? What are your wants? You know what I'm saying? If you, like, how can you ever, because, you know what I'm saying, they're like, well, why do we pass away and things like that? And that's one of those things, right? Do you think that, no, that's not even a good one either. That's not a good one either. So, I was going to say, because, you know, outside of, you know, certain circumstances, this and third, does a person, I'm trying to figure, once you get to the point of, okay, this is what I wanted, your wants or desires change. If your wants or desires change, it's still, why do you have that want or desire? Even if it does change, you didn't change it. You obtained what you wanted and desired, and then you got a new want and desire. I'm not sure if you can get to a point where you don't want anything, don't desire anything. Because then you wouldn't do anything. Like, once you get the Lamborghini, are you not gonna want the Lamborghini anymore? I need to figure out why the hell I desire vorresti un Lamborghini. Why? What's the desire? What's the motivation there? In each color, red, black, and white. The Tesla Roadster, red, black, and white. Dude. Bro, I don't know. You can't. The heart. You don't understand it. You just don't understand that shit. Hmm. Hmm. I'm trying to think, bro. I don't know. You let me know. I'm not sure if you can get to a point. I think your desires do change, but then it's because you obtained, for instance, you have this desire. I'm just gonna talk about it for a Lamborghini. You want a Lamborghini, then you get a Lamborghini. Once you got the Lamborghini, do you want more? Yes. But it's like your desire, does it change? Why does it change? That's what I'm trying to figure out, man. What causes the desire? What causes your wants or your needs? Can you study that? Not the needs, your wants and desires. Yeah. You got him off 40, homie. Got him off 40, homie. Okay. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to say about this. But it just leaves you with that point. What? Why do I desire this? Why do I want this? And once you get it, you have a new desire, a new one. Why? What drives it? What drives that? Where does that come from? That's the part. Where does that come from? Where does that stem from? Desires and wants. Well, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention, and this is just on a spiritual concept, kind of, sort of. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about what you believe in. Shut the fuck up. So there's this one reading in this one book, and wherever you want to call it, the original source, creator, whatever, right? And whatever it is, right? But it had to will itself to do and create, that first movement to extend beyond whatever, right? That what they all from what I've read before was that the creator had to will itself. So you see what I'm saying? Just to attach this one little proverb, there is life in movement and there's death in stagnation. Growth and not growing, you know what I'm saying? So to move, you see what I'm saying? Expansion, there is no, just movement, right? The creator had to will itself, you know what I'm saying? Almost to extend outside of itself to start creating and doing, you know what I'm saying? However, that's it's conceptually it's hard to, think about, but okay, boom, it just has to, whatever that first part of coming into being is, the first whatever physical creation that came out of, you know what I'm saying, something coming from nothing, in a sense, the creator had to will itself to start creating. And so there's this other thing with like will and those there's like these statements that this one thing tried to say is for certain, like if this is your sign, then you should probably like use I am statements. If this is your sign, use I will statements, I can statements. So I will, I can, and this and that third boom boom. So like just with words, right? So even I am, and I am. So what is I like how somebody had said, I am whatever I need to be for at this time and given moment. So I am this, I am that, I am everything. That's why that kind of goes with that. But throwing I am at the back of will. So will I am, like that's an artist, that's a musician, right? But William, and like what is a will? Will I am. So the concept like of the word will, right? Like that's a simple word, but to define it. So, and not in a sense of a will that, somebody writes when they pass away, but I will. What does will mean? What does that mean? You know? Just like if you just had to say, is somebody that I will. Like you anybody you can sit there and talk about that word, but what does it mean? For real, for real. If you gonna be anything, be fucking for real. For real, for real. Fake rock star. For FR stands for fake rock star. Actually, this wasn't a bro. I was thinking about something. Bro. That just made me think about something. My thing is like fake rock star, FR. But somebody, I don't know if it's somebody else. I'm not sure if there's a dreamer on the show or like, I don't know if it's someone I watched. But I feel like somebody else had fake something. Or they made their acronym stand for something. I don't know what I forget their acronym was. And I was like, maybe we should collab. But anyway, so like what does will mean? Now you can say it's one of those simple ass words, you know what it means, right? You know how to use it correctly in certain sentences. I will do this. What does will mean? What does will mean? And so that is that an action? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, right? So will I am, William. So willing, I am willing. It'd be stuff like that, right? It's philosophy class, people. Keep up. Check out my 40, homie. All right, philosophy class. Will. Something to really think about. To will something into being. Like the creator willed itself to move and to start creating. So, just eat that, right? And, and this is to keep going further with this concept, right? Because they talk about will. Okay, you got your conscious and your subconscious, right? And some people really take a long time to try to study how can you alter your subconscious? Can you influence your subconscious? Because what they generally try to say is that your subconscious, whatever the fuck that is, right? And you know how some things are like, what is the concept of something being real? And you can't say that it's like a touch or whatever because you can't touch a thought, right? Yeah. But a thought's real until they become materialized and become real things. So that you can experience with these these senses. And what sense does the brain have? So some people think that the subconscious influences the things that we do and say, just outwardly, whatever the situation that we're in, our subconscious influences like those types of interactions. But some people take a long time of trying to study, can they do the opposite? Can they influence the subconscious so that subconsciously, when they're in certain situations, they act and move certain ways? And so it goes back down to, can you influence? Where does that other inner influence come from? And again, they talk about the heart. Now, which one is more important, the heart or the brain? And somebody thought it was cool, like the brain named itself, right? But the heart and the brain, you can't live without one or the other, right? It's without this, like, and so, and it's the heart doesn't what you would consider think. The heart doesn't what you would consider think. Now, the other thing, and now, again, this is philosophy, and this is, ideologies, this is concepts, this is just a chat show. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just chatting. But if the heart can't think, right? Or there's no evidence that the heart can think. The only thing is that we feel like the heart just pumps blood. The brain does think. All your emotions and your feelings are in your brain. All your emotions, all your feelings are in your brain. So what is it that you can try to influence or try to change to, and why would you want to, Well, there are some of those negative like sides of you saying, oh, will this work? Does that look any better? I don't know. Okay. But can you change any of those? Like, okay, what I was about to say was, if you have, like, if you, and I think some people know, you know what I'm saying? At some point, if, like, you have an unpleasant personality, or that when certain instances or situations may trigger you in anything, then certain instances and whatchamacallit may trigger you, then that whatchamacallit. So those could be things that you're like, you know what? I don't want to yell. I don't want to do this, and so I don't want to be mad. So like I want to try to influence my subconscious so that I don't behave this way in certain situations, instances around certain people. I don't think I made too much sense of anything, but I'm not sure if it made too much sense at all. And I think that's okay. Not really. We all just want to understand. What I know is a drop. What I don't know is an ocean. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't know not a damn thing. I'm not for sure of anything. Okay. I'm trying. What was this? What was this shit? So, let me see. Can you change your desires? Why would you want to change your desires? And so, using our conscious to protect our subconscious. So, so with that right there, thank you for that. But even that, right? There's this one lady, she said, you're playing volleyball in your head with like certain ideas and things like that. And sometimes they tell you that you have this one part of you telling you that you can't do this or say this and that and the third. And then when you get that out the way and like subdue that, you know what I'm saying? Where are you at then, and what part of your life are you living in? So even if you take the notion that the consciousness protects the subconscious, that is one of those things of saying, like, the subconscious wants to reveal itself. The subconscious wants to live. The subconscious wants to thrive, right? The subconscious wants to thrive. And the consciousness is always trying to protect it or push it back down or you know what I'm saying, subdue it. And so it's like, well, this is what I want. Like that the subconscious being the desires and whatever, right? And it's like, well, this is what I want. I want to go talk to this person. I want to go have this type of job. I want to go live like this way. You know what I'm saying? But the subconscious is like, no, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And then the conscious is like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. And we're not gonna do this. It's always like keeping the subconscious boxed in, and the subconscious just is at some point it has to, you know, it has to rear its head in a sense. It has to, and like some people talk about like that, the dark side, you know what I'm saying? Like light and shadow, and one trying to be overcome the other, and they both have to coexist. They both have to coexist. So again, that is a thing of like allowing your subconscious to win. Because I think, I'm trying to remember what was said else also in the show. Oh, you have 3 lives. One, when you lose the naivety. One, when you lose innocence. And then the last is when you lose life itself. And those are 3 lives, right? And so naivety and innocence. Now, somebody had mentioned this movie called The Truman Show. I'll have to like watch that or whatever. But there is this one thing of, you're growing up, you're living in life, and then I'm trying to distinguish if naivety is the word they wanted to use, or is there another word? Naivety and innocence, because they almost seem similar to me. But I've heard or seen this quote said in a different way, and that's why I kind of want to focus on it for a little bit. But there's like, you're growing up, and then you realize, well, I think that's what it's supposed to say. You're growing up, and you don't know about this or that or anything. You're just living, right? And then comes a point, but as you're living, you're learning and you're getting certain experiences. And then there comes a point where I'm not sure what happens, and probably it's different for like a lot of people or something, but something happens that pushes the core of what you originally thought and believed. Like you like, oh, I thought and believed that these certain things, this is how life was supposed to go or whatever. And then that's why I think those are 2 different whatchamacallits. Or I think there might be another one though. Because I think I'll just say like an ignorant point, like you're just living. And then like but you're living and you start to like adopt certain beliefs. And then there comes another point where it's like, well, I don't know if I believe this anymore. Like, I don't think this is true. I don't think that's true. I don't believe in this. And so I think that's another part. But then there becomes a part of like, because people that are around you or whatever will try to still keep you to still believe in that, especially if they believe in it. And you're like, well, I don't know if I don't believe in what you believe in. I don't think the way you think, and this and that third. So like, there's that. Like, there's this fear of just saying, you know what? Well, I'm at least say that I don't believe in this, and I don't want to believe in it, and I don't care about that. So I'm just gonna be in that space. And living without fear, I think was the other part. Is a different part of life that I think some people do or don't really probably even really get to experience, and it just depends. And so I think there is because you can simplify it, or you can like try to make more whatchamacallits, but I'll probably say it's more out here. I would probably say it's only those 2 for real if I had to like change it in a sense, because then it would be, if we keep going down this rabbit hole in this segment, it would be to figure out, okay, well, what is the fear? What's causing the fear? But I would say like those are two different things. Living in fear and then living without fear. I think those are two separate points of life. But what causes fear? What would be the, you know what I'm saying? For that. I don't know. But if I see some more good quotes, what you got my 40, homie? If I see some more good quotes, we can continue with philosophy class, man. And continue tangential thoughts in a sense, almost. I feel a lot better today. Well, that's more for the vlog. All right, I'm gonna start it over for the vlog.